Welcome to Celestial Zodiac, where we explore astrology not just as prediction, but as a path of transformation. In this video, we're continuing our exploration of the lunar nodes, this time focusing on the nodes by sign. If the houses show where your life path unfolds, the signs reveal how that journey feels, behaves, and expresses itself. As astrology became more psychological, especially in modern Western astrology, astrologers started noticing patterns in charts. People with strong node placements often showed a split between comfort versus growth. They also showed a sense of being pulled towards something unfamiliar and repeating life themes tied to the nodal axis. So astrologers began interpreting the South Node as what comes naturally and the North Node as what feels uncomfortable but necessary. These concepts came from decades of chart comparison and pattern recognition. The North Node represents qualities you're here to develop. Often unfamiliar, sometimes uncomfortable, but ultimately growth-oriented. The South Node, on the other hand, reflects traits that come naturally. These are your default patterns, skills you've already mastered, but when overused they can keep you stuck. And here's the key. This is not about rejecting your South Node. It's about balancing it with your North Node so you can move forward without losing yourself. Let's go through all 12 sign polarities, starting with Aries in the North Node and Libra in the South Node. With the North Node in Aries and the South Node in Libra, the life lesson centers on moving from dependence into independence. Libra is an air sign associated with relationships, harmony, and balance. With the South Node here, there is often a natural ability to connect with others, cooperate, and see multiple sides of a situation. There is a strong instinct to keep the peace and maintain harmony, but this can also lead to people-pleasing, indecision, or losing a sense of self in relationships. Aries, on the other hand, is a fire sign associated with action, courage, and self-direction. The North Node in Aries asks for independence, confidence, and the willingness to take initiative without waiting for approval. This path is about learning to trust yourself, make your own decisions, and stand firmly in your identity. Balance comes from maintaining the ability to relate to others while no longer abandoning yourself in the process. With the North Node in Taurus and the South Node in Scorpio, the life lesson centers on moving from intensity into stability. Scorpio is a water sign associated with depth, emotional intensity, power, and transformation. With the South Node here, there is often a natural comfort with navigating complex emotions, crisis situations, or psychological depth, but it can also create patterns of control, extremes, or living in constant intensity. Taurus, on the other hand, is an earth sign focused on stability, simplicity, and physical security. The North Node in Taurus asks for grounding, patience, and building something steady and lasting. This path is about learning that life doesn't always have to be intense to be meaningful. Balance comes from keeping emotional depth while choosing peace, consistency, and stability. With the North Node in Gemini and the South Node in Sagittarius, the journey moves from certainty into curiosity. Sagittarius is a fire sign associated with belief systems, truth, and big-picture thinking. With the South Node here, there is often a strong sense of conviction and a natural ability to see the broader meaning of things, but it can also lead to rigid thinking or assuming one perspective is the truth. Gemini, an air sign, is focused on communication, learning, and gathering information. The North Node in Gemini asks for curiosity, flexibility, and openness to multiple viewpoints. This path is about asking questions instead of having all the answers. Balance comes from maintaining wisdom while staying adaptable and willing to learn. With the North Node in Cancer and the South Node in Capricorn, the life lesson shifts from control into emotional connection. Capricorn is an earth sign associated with structure, discipline, and achievement. With the South Node here, there is often a strong sense of responsibility and the ability to succeed in the material world, but it can also create emotional distance or a tendency to suppress feelings. Cancer, a water sign, is focused on nurturing emotional security and connection. The North Node in Cancer asks for vulnerability, care, and creating meaningful emotional bonds. This path is about allowing yourself to feel and to receive support. Balance comes from maintaining strength while opening up emotionally. With the North Node in Leo and the South Node in Aquarius, the journey moves from detachment into self-expression. Aquarius is an air sign associated with the collective, innovation, and objectivity. With the South Node here, there is often comfort in observing, contributing to groups, or thinking in a detached way, but it can also lead to emotional distance or avoiding personal recognition. Leo, a fire sign, is about creativity, confidence, and individuality. The North Node in Leo asks for self-expression, joy, and stepping into the spotlight. This path is about owning your identity and allowing yourself to be seen. Balance comes from contributing to the group while still honoring your personal voice. With the North Node in Virgo and the South Node in Pisces, the life lesson is about moving from diffusion into clarity. Pisces is a water sign associated with intuition, imagination, and compassion. With the South Node here, there is often a strong connection to the unseen, creativity, and empathy, but it can also lead to confusion, escapism, or lack of boundaries. Virgo, an earth sign, is focused on organization, detail, and practical improvement. The North Node in Virgo asks for structure, discernment, and turning ideas into something useful. This path is about grounding intuition into real-world application. Balance comes from keeping compassion and imagination while creating order and clarity. With the North Node in Libra and the South Node in Aries, the journey shifts from independence into cooperation. Aries is a fire sign associated with action, courage, and self-direction. With the South Node here, there is often a strong sense of independence and the ability to take initiative, but it can also lead to impulsiveness or focusing too much on personal needs. Libra, an air sign, is about balance, harmony, and relationships. The North Node in Libra asks for cooperation, listening, and building partnerships. This path is about learning to consider others without losing yourself. Balance comes from maintaining independence while developing healthy, balanced relationships. With the North Node in Scorpio and the South Node in Taurus, the life lesson moves from comfort into transformation. Taurus is an earth sign associated with stability, security, and attachment to the physical world. With the South Node here, there is often a strong need for comfort and consistency, but it can also lead to resistance to change or staying in situations that feel safe but limiting. Scorpio, a water sign, is about transformation, emotional depth, and letting go. The North Node in Scorpio asks for embracing change, vulnerability, and deeper emotional experiences. This path is about trusting the process of transformation. Balance comes from maintaining stability while allowing growth through change. With the North Node in Sagittarius and the South Node in Gemini, the journey shifts from scattered information into meaningful direction. Gemini is an air sign associated with curiosity, communication, and gathering information. With the South Node here, there is often a quick mind and adaptability, but it can also lead to distraction or staying on the surface. Sagittarius, a fire sign, is about belief, purpose, and seeking truth. The North Node in Sagittarius asks for direction, conviction, and a broader vision. This path is about turning knowledge into wisdom. Balance comes from staying curious while committing to a meaningful path. With the North Node in Capricorn and the South Node in Cancer, the life lesson moves from emotional comfort into responsibility and achievement. Cancer is a water sign associated with nurturing, sensitivity, and emotional security. With the South Node here, there is often a strong connection to home and emotional patterns, but it can also lead to dependency or avoiding external challenges. Capricorn, an earth sign, is focused on discipline, structure, and long-term success. The North Node in Capricorn asks for stepping into authority, taking responsibility, and building something lasting. This path is about creating stability in the external world. Balance comes from honoring emotional needs while pursuing goals. With the North Node in Aquarius and the South Node in Leo, the journey shifts from personal validation into collective contribution. Leo is a fire sign associated with creativity, self-expression, and recognition. With the South Node here, there is often confidence and a strong sense of identity, but it can also lead to seeking validation or focusing too much on personal attention. Aquarius, an air sign, is about innovation, community, and forward thinking. The North Node in Aquarius asks for collaboration, objectivity, and contributing to something larger than yourself. This path is about thinking beyond personal identity. Balance comes from expressing individuality while supporting the collective. With the North Node in Pisces and the South Node in Virgo, the life lesson moves from control into surrender. Virgo is an earth sign associated with analysis, organization, and precision. With the South Node here, there is often strong attention to detail and a desire for improvement, but it can also lead to perfectionism or overthinking. Pisces, a water sign, is about intuition, compassion, and flow. The North Node in Pisces asks for trust, surrender, and connection to something greater. This path is about releasing the need to control every detail. Balance comes from using structure when needed while allowing space for intuition and faith. The nodes by sign remind us that growth isn't about becoming someone completely different. It's about expanding beyond what's comfortable while still honoring where you've been. Your South Node holds real strengths. It's what you already know, what feels natural, and what you can rely on. But when you stay there too long, it can become a loop. The North Node is what breaks that loop. It's unfamiliar, sometimes uncomfortable, but it's also where new life begins. This isn't about getting it perfect. It's about becoming more aware of your patterns and making small, intentional shifts toward growth over time. When you begin to work with both ends of the axis, rather than choosing one over the other, you start to feel more aligned, more balanced, and more in control of your direction. Thank you for watching Celestial Zodiac. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.